So, solving for y, define the slope-intercept. What I want you to write at the top of this is extending onto this. So what we're going to say is we are converting standard form to slope-intercept. Standard form is written as ax plus by equals c. It says, so what does solve for y mean? When you solve a multivariable, or what we call a literal equation, so if you need to write that in to know which notes to look at, that's a literal equation. For one specific variable, you are converting the equation from one form to another. There's that word, converting. Your result is a new equation with a specific variable isolated on one side. In this case, the variable that we're solving for is y.
So we would never solve for x?
What does the direction say? Solving for.
Y.
So what do we focus on solving for?
Y.
So do we need to ask the question about x right now?
No, ma'am.
Because we're learning how to
Read.
solving for.
Y.
So don't focus on anything else, okay? Example number 1, 3x plus 4y equals 12. 3x plus 4y equals 12. I'm solving for y, so it's about getting this term by itself. But I want to do something with you first, okay? Before we even do that, how would I solve this equation? So what's coming down?
4y equals 9.
And then what do I do from here?
Divide both sides by 4.
So what's coming down?
Y equals.
And then I need to check that, right? So typing that in, 9 divided by 4.
You got decimal.
But we want a fraction. So what buttons do you hit? Thank you, Math 1. So we're all cool on solving these two-step equations, right?
Yeah.
My question here is, what makes that different from this?
There is no
There is no difference. What does this have that this doesn't?
variable.
A variable on that 3, right? But am I still treating it the exact same way? So in order to get 4y by itself, I have to subtract 3x first. Is everybody following me? We're treating that 3x like our constant, okay? From there, those cross out. Are we okay with that? Leaving 4y equals. Can those two combine? No, because what does this have that this doesn't? An x, so they're not like terms. So we write it as y equals mx, so negative 3x plus 12. Everybody still with me? From there, y is not by itself, is it? It's being multiplied by what? So how do I get rid of multiplication by 4? Just the same way I did here. Are you still with me? So these cross out, leaving just y. Everybody with me still? Equals negative 3 divided by 4. Can't simplify, so it leaves negative 3/4 x. And then 12 divided by 4 simplifies into. So again, what makes this different than this? One has a variable, but have the steps changed? No, we're still subtracting by our constant, dividing by our coefficient. Everybody still with me? Okay. Step 1, add or subtract the x. Step 2, multiply or divide the y's coefficient. Well, we just did that, thankfully. Everybody good? All right, let's look at this one, okay? I'm going to do the exact same thing. So, how would I solve this equation? 14 minus 5. 9 again. Then what do I do from here to get y by itself? Not divide.
Not both sides. Divide now.
Not divide. Multiply by what? What kind of 2? No,
Negative.
because isn't that a negative 1/2? Because ain't the reciprocal of negative 1/2 negative 2 over 1? So isn't that what I'm doing to both sides? Yep. So what happens here? So what comes? 1y comes down,
Y equals negative 18.
because that's 9 times negative 2. So my question here is, does this change from here to here? What was the first step I did?
Minus 5 both sides.
Minus 5x on both sides. When that came down, those cross out. We had negative 1/2 y equals negative 5x plus 14. The reason why that's plus 14 is because that 14 is positive. Everybody okay with that? Then from there, how do I get rid of negative 1/2? I multiply by
Negative 2.
negative 2. I distribute it to everything. And would you look at there? When I do that, that gets me y equals 10x equals 28, minus 28. Make sense? Everybody still with me? So in your calculator, type in negative 2 times negative 1/2. Type in negative 2 times negative 1/2. That's how it should look for the most part. And it gave you 1. 1 what?
Y.
Because don't those cancel out?
Yes.
Type in negative 2 times negative 5.
10.
10x. Type in negative 2 times 14. You got negative 28. So do you see where this answer came from? Does it make sense? Everybody okay? So truly, is this any different than what we've been doing? No, not for the past 2 units. So remember, B is the y value of the y-intercept, and the y-intercept is the coordinate point. That's important to remember and know. So the y-intercept is the whole coordinate point, but B is the y value of the y-intercept. That's what makes them different. So, for example, y equals mx plus b. We have y equals 3x plus 4. What's m?
3.
What's slope?
4.
3.
3.
3 again, because aren't those two the same?
Yes.
What's b?
4.
But what's the y-intercept?
4. 0. 4.
0, 4. Because it's the coordinate point. Any questions there? All right, let's look at these examples right here. It says convert each linear equation from standard form, there's standard form right there, ax plus by equals c, to slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. We're solving for what? Y. So I'm solving for y right here. Let me highlight y up top. There we go. So what's the first step I need to do here? Minus 3x on both sides. Great job. So what happens to those 3x's? What comes down? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Negative 3.
Negative 3.
Minus 8.
Negative 3.
X.
X.
Minus 8.
Minus 8. Is y by itself yet?
No.
So what do I need to do?
12.
All the way across. Everything gets divided by 12. So what happens to these 12s? So what's brought down on that side? What's being typed in?
Negative 3.
I'm typing it in with you, so you should be typing it in as well. Don't say it out loud. Give your people time. If it gives you a decimal, what keystroke do you hit? Thank you. Math 1, enter. Everybody get it typed in? What'd you get? What comes behind that? X. What's typed in next? There we go. Type that in. Give you a decimal. Math 1, enter. What'd you get? Everybody get negative 2 over 3? Is y by itself. So that means my equation, I can write that right here. That part is done. What's my m? There you go. We go. Negative 1 over 4. Just that number in the place of m. What's my b?
2 over 3. Negative 2 over 3.
Negative 2 over 3. Any questions there? How do you feel?
Good.
Feel good? All right, let's look at this one. Negative x plus 2y equals negative 8. What's my first step?
Plus X.
Plus x. So, what happens to those x's? What's brought down?
2y equals X
X
minus 8.
minus 8. Is y by itself yet?
No.
So what do I need to do?
Divide by 2.
So what happens to those 2's?
Catch out.
Leaving.
Y equals X over 2.
What is in front of that x?
1.
1. So what am I typing in?
1 divided by 2.
To see if it simplifies. What'd you get?
1 over 1 half. It steps in.
1/2. It stayed the same. What comes behind it?
X.
X. And what am I typing in next?
Negative 8 divided by 1.
Now, there you go. Great save. Divided by 2.
Negative 4.
Everybody get -4 there?
Yes, ma'am.
So is y by itself now?
Yes.
So I can write my equation in the spot. What's m?
1 over 1 half.
1 over 2 or 1/2. What's b?
4.
-4. Don't forget your signs in the front. Any questions there? Is everybody good? Okay, let's look at 3. I have x plus 1/4 y equals 10. What's my first step? Minus that x. We have to move the x term. Great job. What happens to those x's? So what comes down?
1/4 y equals
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What comes after that?
times 4.
Plus 10. And then what do I do to every term here?
Times 4.
Times it by 4, right? So what's being typed into the calculator first?
1
4 times what?
1.
Times 1 over 4. That way we're proving why this goes away. So type in 4 times 1/4 the same way I just did right here. Prove your answer. Don't just take my word for it.
1.
Did everybody get 1? Mm-hmm. So what comes down? Y equals, perfect. What's being multiplied next?
Negative 4 times 1.
4 times what?
Negative 1.
-1, because that's what's in front of the x. It gets you what?
Negative 4.
-4. X. What's being multiplied next?
4 times 10.
4 times 10.
40.
So everybody get 40? What's going behind this? What sign? Plus 40. Is y by itself?
Yes.
So how do I could just write my equation, right?
Y equals 4. X.
Mhm.
Negative 4x plus 4.
There we go. What's m?
Negative 4.
Not x.
Negative 4.
Thank you. What's b?
40.
Leave the x alone. It's its own number, okay? Leave it be. Any questions? Looking at number 4, I have 4x plus 5y equals 4. What's my first step? You tell me. I'm not going to say anything.
Or both sides.
Told you I'm not saying anything. All you.
Oh, they break down the steps are very 5x equals negative 4x. Divide both sides by 5. The 5's cancel out. Break down y equals. And you type in negative 4 divided by 5. And you get negative 4 over 5. Then you do 4 divided by 5.
Don't forget the x case.
Oh, x. You do 4 divided by 5.
That's 4 plus 5.
Oh, my fault.
And that'd be 9.
No, 4 divided. I was right. 4 divided by 5. Which is, it stay the same. So we plus 4 over 5. So you an equation would be y equals negative 4 over 5 x plus 1 over 5 m equals negative 4 over 5 and b equals 4 over 5.
Great job. Great effort from everybody on that one. Sir, please keep in mind, okay, that it's not going to be addition or subtraction when there's a division bar between them. It's dividing. No. He did great with correcting you at a different part, but then he kind of got lost, and that happens. Any questions there? All right, look at number 5 for me. I have 10x minus 12y equals negative 4. What do I need to do here?
Oh, you don't use glucose? I need to give some problems.
Child, these are not written the same way. Not add. There we go. You have to do the opposite. When it's written differently, I'm not going to give you something and just throw you out there, okay? That's not what I do. What happens here? Them.
You break out equals negative 10x minus 4.
There we go. Them.
Divide both sides by negative 4.
There we go. Divide both sides by negative 12. What happens?
They cancel out. Break out y equals
What's being typed in?
negative 10 minus 4.
Y'all agree? Behind that? X. And then what's being typed in?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 divided by negative 12. I agree. And that gets you, what was it? 1 over 3. So what kind of sign goes in between those? A plus sign because it's positive. Is y by itself. So write my equation in.
Y equals 5x. 5 over 6x plus 1 over 3.
There we go. Slope.
5 over 6.
1
over 3.
What's my y-intercept?
1 over 3. 0. And 1 over 3.
Thank you. B is asking you for just the number. The y-intercept is asking you for the coordinate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You see how we flipped it?
Yes.
That's why I did this one with you. Any questions? Now you got a practice problem from me, okay? So, you're going to do 6, 8, and 9. 6, 8, and 9. And I'm going to flip this page over. That way you can actually see my work at the bottom. Hop to it. I'm starting your timer right now. I'd rather it be a daily grade than it actually be your real test. Let's be honest. Look at number 6. Please and thank you. Looking at number 6, I have 3x minus y equals 9. I'm solving for what? Y. So what's the first step I need to do? Minus 3x on both sides, because I have to get y by itself, but I can't do anything with the coefficient in front of it if there is an x term next to it. I'm subtracting because it was already positive. You have to do inverse operations. Make sure you're writing the correct work if you know that you got it wrong. So if you know you got it wrong, erase the work, put the correct work. How do you expect to get better if you're just sitting? Be active. Be active. From here, what happens to these 3 x's? They cancel out, leaving what? Negative y, right? Behind that? Equals.
Minus 3x.
Negative 3x plus 9. Is y by itself yet? What's on the side with it? A negative 1. It is multiplying to that y, so how do I get rid of multiplication by negative 1? You divide by negative 1. Everything gets divided by negative 1. Should I bring that y anywhere? No. I saw some people bringing y down. I circled it and put a question mark next to it. And what in my work have you seen me move the variable I'm solving for? I want you to reflect. What happens here? They cancel out. What comes down? What's being typed in? And this ain't if, Miss Lipsey, I don't want to type it in. It's you're gonna type it in. Because if not, you're gonna fail. Be real. Because some of y'all don't know how negative signs work for integers. And instead of assuming, why don't you type it in? Because is the calculator free to you? Do you get to use it every day? So why not use it? Along with common sense, right? Typing in -3 divided by -1 in your calculator, what does that get you? +3, bring down the x. What's being typed in next? Please type this in. Too many people got this wrong because they did not type it in. They assumed. Assuming makes you those first 3 letters of that word. I ain't got to spell it out for you to know that. I've done it too many times, correct? We ain't assuming no more. What's 9 divided by -1? What is it? Say it with your chest. What? Thank you. Is y by itself now. So, can I write this in right here? Y'all had no business filling that in if this wasn't filled in first. No business. Because some of y'all was just guessing up here and it didn't match right there. So that grade makes sense. You assume, you fail. Don't assume. Put it in the calculator. Double check your work. What's M? 3. Because it's right there. If those two things don't match, where are you? Not where you're supposed to be. Y-intercept. 0 what? Sorry, I can't hear. 0. What was it? Thank you. Y-intercept means I need a coordinate pair. I do not just want the number. I need the pair. Because it says it on the front page. And didn't you see my front page while you was working? Is it mine underlined and highlighted? Ain't there an arrow pointing to it? So should you have known what to write in there? Yes. Guys, I'm not getting on you because I'm mad. I can never be mad. That uses too much energy. I'm disappointed because what's the one thing we're learning how to do? Read. And do you think that you accomplished reading today? Not a single 100 on this practice problem. Not a single one. And it wasn't for a lack of content. It was a lack of reading. Any questions? Look at number 8. I have 3x plus 2/3 y equals 15. I'm solving for what? So what needs to be moved first? 3x. How do I move the 3x from one side to the other? Subtract it. Because is it positive to begin with? So what's the opposite of positive? So I have to subtract it from both sides. What happens here? So what's being brought down? Equals. Is y by itself yet? What's happening to y over here? Multiplication by what? No, multiplication by 2/3. Didn't I just tell you how to get rid of fractions on the first side when we had that -2? What did I do to that fraction? I took its... I took its... It starts with an R. Vocabulary coming back to bite you again. It starts with an R. I took its... Starts with an R. We did it in Unit 2 a lot. We took it what? No. It starts with an R. Y'all know what an R looks like in the alphabet, right? No. Think before you speak. What does rate of change have to do with this fraction? Am I graphing anything? This wasn't on your vocabulary list. This is a word that we wrote in the notes, period. Instead of giving up, it takes everybody's eyes on their notes. So those people that are like, I can't find it. I'm going to just do this the whole time. You're the reason why you don't make the grade you want to make. Because if there's multiple eyes looking at Unit 2, you'll find it. But if only 4 or 5 people are looking in a class of 13 to 14, they're not going to find it as quick. And you know, your end of the year test is cumulative, which means it's from day 1. So if you don't have those notes, that's the problem. It's not about can you remember it, it's can you recall it. Because remembering is what got most of us in this class to begin with. Because we didn't learn the material, we were trying to memorize it and reiterate it. Math is not about memorizing, it's about knowing it. Break that cycle now so you don't fail Algebra 1. Has to do with solving equations with fractions. That had its own section. One might say it could be in 2.3 or 2.2.
It says no.
Yep.
Order of operation. I see the novel, that's it. Right.
Found mine. Not ratio. You multiply by the starts with an R.
That's all I see on this table. That's all I see on this table.
Yep. Between 2.1 and 2.3. It's somewhere in there. I found mine. I said between 2.1 and 2.3. The word is there. So sometimes it pays to start from the beginning. What? Wow, it sounds like I've said that word before, but it also seems like it was in print. What page did you find that on? And it looks like I worked more than a few examples with you, did I not?
What's that?
Mm-hmm. So what do I need to multiply by? What do you do when you take the reciprocal of something? So maybe not just know the word, know why you use it. So what does it mean to take the reciprocal of something? Two words, you flip it. And what operation do you do with the reciprocal? Multiplication. Sounds like something I said in Unit 2. What unit are we in? Didn't I say those skills come back up? Was I joking? Because how deep did you have to search? My time said it took you nearly 8 or 9 minutes to search for this. Yeah. So what's the reciprocal? No. You just told me the same fraction again.
2.
What's the reciprocal? You do what?
2.
Thank you. You can't just make numbers disappear. You have to take both. And I'm not rewriting that word. You know where to look. So if you don't know, you better put a star next to 8. And you better say 2.1 reciprocal. I ain't repeating it. What's being typed in first? Thank you. Type it in. 3 over 2 times 2 over 3. What'd you get? Because it should cancel out. And what'd you look at there? Is y by itself? What's being multiplied next?
3 divided by 2 times -3.
Thank you. If I'm typing it in, should you be typing it in? Because last time I checked, only one person got this correct fully.
Negative 9 over 2.
What'd y'all get?
Negative 9 over 2.
Some people wouldn't know that because they ain't typed it in, period. What'd you get?
Negative 9 over 2.
Behind it?
X.
What's being typed in?
3 divided by 2 times 15.
Get it typed in?
What?
3 over 2 times 15, honey. You're still multiplying by the same number.
45 over 2.
What'd you get?
45 over 2. What can simplify? Do simplify?
Nope, because 45 is not even. So it's not divisible by 2. Is y by itself?
Yes, ma'am.
Which means I can't touch those two until this spot is filled. Any questions? What's the slope?
Negative 9 over 2.
What's the y-intercept?
45 over 2.
Mm-mm.
0. 45.
Thank you. When it says y-intercept, we want the ordered pair. We want the coordinate. Any questions there? Do we see where we went wrong here? We need to know this vocabulary word through and through. It's not a question of if you will use it, it's when you will. Any questions? Looking at number 9. Some people still miss this one, unsure of how. I did a lot of examples that look like this. 4x plus 9y equals negative 18. You tell me.
Minus 4x on both.
Then,
That's right. 9y equals. Then divide by 9 across. Y equals. Minus 2.
What's M? What's the y-intercept?
0.
There's no reason why you should miss one that looks like this. I can understand the mistakes here, but this one looks just like the one we did up here. Any questions there? Look at number 7. What's the first thing I need to do? Subtract x. So what's being brought down? Is y by itself yet? So what do I need to do? This is the one where you just multiply one number. And that whole thing gets multiplied by 5. So what happens here? So what's coming down?
Y equals negative
Is y by itself? What's the slope? What's the y-intercept? Any questions there? And look at 14. Looking at this one, what do I need to do first?
3/7 x, subtract it.
Subtract it. Don't let the fact that there's two fractions stop you from the common sense of knowing to just subtract or add the x term, because we don't care about that term when it comes to doing the reciprocal. What happens here? So what's coming down?
Negative 3/2y
Mm-hmm.
equals negative 3/7 x plus 2
There we go. What do I do from here? Because we had a whole discussion on this.
times 2.
Reciprocal, what we call it,
Mm-hmm. And do what with it?
we're gonna flip it.
We're going to flip it and
To negative 2/3.
negative 2 over 3. Mm-hmm. And do what with it?
Put it in parentheses and distribute it.
Thank you. Kingston just saved everybody.
Thank you, Keisha.
Because didn't we just do this up top?
Yes, ma'am.
This don't look nothing like number 7. You can't treat it the same way. What's being multiplied first?
Negative
2 to y by 3.
times negative
3
3
y by 2.
If I could type it, can you type it?
Yes, ma'am.
So get to typing.
It's equals 1.
Give those people time to type it in to prove it. Remember, because they can't ask you on the test, they have to know it on their own. But I appreciate the energeticness.
I got the same thing, Keisha.
Everybody get one? So what comes down? What comes down?
And y.
Why? Because the one's in the front of there. What's being multiplied next?
Negative 2/3 times negative 3 on second.
Typing it in. Give people time. Give people time. I keep stressing it. Give people time. I love that you are quick, but you still saw people over here. You know it take them a minute. Okay? Don't stop participating now, but give them at least 5 seconds. What'd y'all get?
2/7.
Thank you.
Next.
X. Then what's being multiplied?
Negative 2/3 times 2.
Thank you. Give them a minute. Not a literal minute. Give them a second. Somewhere in there.
Negative 4/3.
What'd y'all get?
Negative. You meant 4/3.
What kind of 4 over 3?
Negative 3.
Because it's a negative times a positive, which makes a negative. Is y by itself?
Yeah.
Then that's what I'm looking for. Slope-intercept form. What's m?
2/7.
What's the y-intercept?
Negative 4/3. Dot.
Ordered pair. Any questions there? I'm going to work one more that looks a little bit different. That way you're left with 3 examples to do on your own. Look at 13. What needs to happen first?
Combine like terms.
But I can't combine like terms.
Oh, minus 8.
Minus 8 first. What's coming down?
Y minus 5/2x.
Those.
Cancel out.
And
2 minus 8.
2 minus 8.
Negative 6.
And then that looks like what we've been doing, correct? What's my next step?
So, plus 5 to both sides.
Thank you. Plus 5 halves x on both sides.
Y.
Thanks, Davis.
Y equals 5/2x plus minus 6.
There we go. Is y by itself?
Yes.
So I did my job. What's my m?
5/2.
What's my y-intercept?
Negative 6. 0.
Morning to each doors. Everyone please rise for the pledge.
Any questions?
Salute. Pledge.
Remember,
Pledge allegiance
do these practice problems, turn it
to the
in.
United